Hey everyone, on this episode we're going to cover how I organize my tackle in my Milwaukee Packout containers. So recently I've been asked by a few people, how do you organize your tackle in your Packout containers? Now I've done a previous video before that shows how I put them on my kayak, which has recently changed because I used to have the Milwaukee Packout crate on the back of my kayak, and I used to take the larger thin profile one and slide that onto the Milwaukee crate and use it kind of as a lid. Then I would stack more of these on top or put some of these underneath my seat. Now I went to the Yak Attack Black Pack Pro, and I just throw a couple of these inside and I throw a couple underneath my seat, whether it's 2, 4, or 6, depending on what I'm doing for the day. But let's go through how I organize this. It's very simple. So as you see, I do label the handles of what they are. I have my own labels on here, obviously, and I just kind of know by how they're labeled what's actually inside. And what really started this out with the Milwaukee Packout is I use these at work. So one day I was thinking, well, if I use these for a whole bunch of different screws, they would work great for terminal tackle. And that's what started me off buying the Milwaukee Packout for fishing, is terminal tackle. Now we know Plano Edge has some great organizing boxes, but they're a bit pricey. They have great terminal tackle organization ideas, but the price of those compared to these is like double. Main reasons for getting these is that they lock together, they're waterproof, and when you load something inside of one of these pockets or trays, you can shake this box viciously. Nothing separates from each other. And that's always been the biggest problem with terminal tackle, is that no matter what you do, you always end up having hooks in other slots that don't belong there, or weights that end up in another part of the tackle box. And being on a kayak, I definitely wanted something waterproof. Now I don't know if the Plano Edges are waterproof. I end up going with Milwaukee Packouts because each individual slim profile Packout is $30. Planos get very expensive. So that's why I end up going this route, and also that they lock together. So these are the slim design. This was the larger one I used to keep on my crate, which I don't have, but you're more than welcome, if you have the room and want to use these, you can use the larger one if you have a bunch of baits. Now I used to keep, obviously I have 2 different crankbaits containers because I used to keep all my crankbaits in one of the larger ones. And a lot of times when I go out fishing, I don't take all this tackle. Now this is only a little bit of my tackle. Obviously you can see my soft plastics. I carry those in the tray inside my kayak, which you can see a video on that on my kayak review, how I carry my soft plastics. But I keep the extra stored at home. And I also have the Milwaukee Packout, I guess you say docking stations, or whatever you want to call these, the plates that you can mount to the back of your truck, in the bed. I have them screwed to the wall, and that's why I clip them in. This is all for my saltwater. When I fish local, I don't take all that tackle with me. I usually just have a couple extra one of these laying around, and I just mismatch, spinnerbaits, crankbaits, my terminal tackle, and I just mismatch it. But let's take a look inside of what these look like. When you get these Packouts from the store, they come with all these dividers in it, and you can see you can change the direction of how these dividers sit. This way or this, or this way. But there is companies out there now 3D printing just for the Milwaukee Packouts. They'll give you 4, it'll actually look like this, and they're making it up, and obviously it fits together, and it gives you 4 spots in each like little container. So that'd kind of be good if you actually had 4, because you can break it up and really get a bunch of different weights and terminal tackle in there if you break it up. Obviously for tackle, you're not gonna have anything usually that small unless you're using rooster tails or something, but there is companies out there, just want to let you guys know, that's 3D printing and making these a 4-way. And same thing here, they're actually making 3D printed versions that'll actually fit between these 2 and almost give you, it'd probably give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 just along here. But I don't use that option because, I have quite a bit of tackle, but at the same time, I don't carry all that tackle with me. And I only use what I like to use, and like I said, I always have room to expand upon these later on. So I do want to show you the thin, larger one, and you can see it's basically having 2 of those thinner ones, but they also give you room down the middle to put longer items, maybe pre-made leaders up, whatever you want to do, you could use in the middle of this if you have the room to store these. Now this will fit on my kayak underneath my seat. I kind of like having just 2 separate containers. and kind of break up my tackle a little bit, especially when I just go out locally and I only take usually 2 or 3 of these with me, and I basically keep them underneath my seat, because underneath my seat I can keep about 6. So it covers quite a bit of tackle. I mean, you can break these up however you want, but let's get into how I have mine organized right now. And Milwaukee does make these in a fatter version. They actually make a lot of different size containers. You can go super deep. So if you have really big swim baits, you can get those deeper Milwaukee Packouts and actually like stand your swim baits vertically or even horizontally. So now that I've broken up my crankbaits, you can see I have it labeled crank shallow and crank deep. And basically what I did is I took my label maker 2 on the inside, and I kind of have the running depth set of each of these crankbaits, minus this one. Sometimes I just take a Sharpie too. Depends how, if I'm lazy or not, but most time, you know, this I know I'll never change. I always have a crankbait that runs 3 to 5 feet, so I just did that with marker. But the 4 foot, you know, being dead on at 4 foot, you know, that may change. But basically, if you're going to change your tackle around a lot, I suggest just using a label maker. This way you can just peel these off and put a new label on there, and, you know, you're good to go. But I always knew that I'm always going to have a 3 to 5 running crankbait. And here's my deeper ones. You can see now when you get into larger, deeper build crankbaits, obviously you need the space. So you can see how I took the dividers out, and I kind of just grouped them together. So these are my 14 to 19 foot running crankbaits. And with my crankbaits, what I do is I actually label on the crankbait deepest depth that these things can run. So this one's a 16, you know, it runs down to 16 feet depending on the line size. But you can see I actually label my crankbaits too. This way they go back into the right area in my containers. So as far as my terminal, you can kind of see I have it labeled as Terminal Texas. That's for really like a lot of Texas rig stuff, and Terminal Drop, which is like my drop shot stuff. So my terminal tackle, you can see I use every divider, but I actually use a Sharpie because I know pretty much my terminal, I do not change that much or really alter what I use. And I pretty much just have my bullet weights, you know, with Sharpie up top there. And then obviously we got my Cinco O-rings, and I got my 2/0, you know, wacky rig hooks. You know, down here I have 1/0 wacky rig hooks, and also, you know, my wheelless. I kind of keep those together. Then I got my 3/0 EWG, my 4/0, and my 5/0. So that's pretty much like my Texas rig. I kind of mismatched the, you know, the Cinco setup or the wacky rig setup with my Texas setup, and just kind of keep them together as one package. You know, my drop shot setup, I pretty much keep, you know, my drop shot weights, my hooks, and I also put in this container too some of my Carolina weights when I rig, you know, in a Carolina rig, which is very rare. As you can tell, I don't have many weights, but once again, I just kind of label that with a Sharpie. Then I got some of my specialty, you know, larger swim bait hooks with the corkscrew, you know, it's weighted down, and you know, more of my Carolina rig stuff with my swivels and my beads. And that's kind of how I have that labeled, you know, or organized. But you can see I got some extra room here for some more stuff. But, you know, I Texas rig most of the time. 2 more containers I got labeled as top water and swim baits, and I kind of mismatch it. So my top water is, you know, like a lot of my walking baits and my frogs, and my swim bait one is kind of like some of my jointed swim baits, you know, my rattle traps, you know, my jerk baits, and some of my soft swim baits. This is the Z-Man Hercules. But as you can see, I don't have a lot of tackle because most of my stuff I crankbait, and I use a lot of soft plastics for fishing. You know, I'm not one of those guys that has to have 1,000 baits, 1,000 different colors of the same bait. I just use what works and just try to keep it simple. Yes, as I, you know, of course I lose baits every now and then, I add to it, but as I add to this setup, I just either, you know, make room in the same pack out and just kind of mismatched it. And I know how these are labeled, what I actually have in there. I might not just be just top water, maybe some other items in there too, but I'm not gonna try to make the, you know, the labels as big. And then I got spinner baits and chatter baits. So recently I've actually lost quite a few spinner baits because I'm trying to go deep into the weeds, but, you know, I just carry my chatter baits up top. I got a couple different colors there. I got my spinner baits. I did label a 1/2 ounce, so I kind of put all the half together, but sometimes I just throw them back in. But you can see even on my spinner baits, I actually label the weight size of it, so that actually belongs in there. But, you know, I kind of label what size kind of on my baits, so they go back in the right spots. Sometimes I don't, as you can tell, but, you know, and I got another chatter bait, but I don't keep that much. I mean, I pretty much just use these couple spinner baits, and when I lose them, I just replace them. which I have to replace some soon anyway because I'm kind of running out of some of the colors I want because I've been losing them. But I'll just replace them as I need them. I just don't stock up that much on. And then I have my my container for jigs. So as you see, I just have pretty much black and blue, green pumpkin, and a couple of whites. And once again, that just kind of keep those separate. I don't carry a lot of them as well, or as I lose them, I just replace them. So that's kind of my setup for my tackle as far as just my hard baits. I figure I might as well capture it on the same video for you guys, but this is how I do my soft plastics in my kayak. I just basically put them in the tub, kind of like in line, and this is I'll kind of switches up as I go fishing from day to day when I go out, and I'll just change it up for what I carry inside here. But once again, I carry a few different colors of each kind of baits that I'm using or I want to use for the day. I keep some leader in here, and that's it. So that's kind of how I carry my soft plastics. I used to have the plain old roll, which I still have, I just don't use it. I realized I used to carry all my soft plastics with me, and half the time I never used that many different ones. So I just kind of eliminated the roll and just eliminate some weight off the kayak, and that's why I'm using this. As you can see, when I'm done with my tackle, I can just lock them together, and they attach to that, the plate on the wall. I've also had these in the back of my truck and screwed them down to the bed of my truck where I can just transport the tackle and I don't go flying around. So it's another great ability for the Packout. You can attach these plates to your kayak too if you want to do it that way. And just use some silicone, some stainless steel hardware, and screw them down to your kayak, and you can just transport your tackle just like this, locked together, and behind your seat. It's a very versatile system that it ain't just for construction and just for for screws. As you see, I have a lot of Milwaukee stuff. I have a lot of random stuff right here right now, but you can see all the different sizes they make. They even got these super big ones. These are the ones I'm talking about for your swim baits. It may be a good swim bait one. But you can see I just kind of label all the front of my handles, and I got these plates mounted to the top of my toolbox here, and you can see I just have them stacked, and I have the the front of these labeled with the label maker too, and I know what they are. So it's great for tackle, great for screws and everything else. You can see they got like little handy boxes, like a little tray that you could carry things around. That may be a cool way to transport stuff to your boat or your kayak too, and it's almost like a tool tray. But hey, throw some soft plastics in there and just throw that up there too. Here's the crates. You can see once again I got those stacked and locked together, and they're hanging on my wall. I utilize those for a lot of random stuff. So I mean, I utilize Milwaukee Packouts for almost everything that I want to organize, from screws to tackle. I have OCD. I like to just keep things organized. I like to keep inventory of what I have. I like to visually see what I have left. This way I can make a list the next time I go to the store or online when I go to buy stuff. So I like to just keep it very minimal. And things very organized. I don't like to have a bunch of just stuff thrown in the corner. That drives me nuts. Then that, because when you throw things in the corner, you don't use it. I just want to kind of do a quick video because people have been asking me about this, how I organize my Packouts. If my arsenal grows, obviously I'll just buy more of these containers. Yes, $30 is not cheap, but for something that locks together, gives you the ability to just lock this stuff together very easily, carry this with you, or carry it to your boat or to your kayak. To me, I think it's a great idea to use for tackle. They're waterproof. They have a great seal on them, and you can shake these things like crazy, and nothing ends up in another pocket in that container. So that's a big plus for me. And you can find these anywhere. You can find them at, online at Home Depot. You can go to Home Depot and buy them. There's a lot of Milwaukee sites out there, Acme Tool. You can get these things anywhere. And sometimes if you look around and shop around, you may find a deal where you can get 3 of these for like $50. So you're saving $10. Like I said, they have the deep ones. They got big ones. They got, drawer systems. I mean, you can really get crazy with the Packout and use it and utilize it for fishing tackle storage. So just want to do a quick little video. Hope you guys liked it. I'm trying to change up the content on this channel as well, instead of just being fishing all the time. I kind of want to do, videos like this. I got some other videos coming out of some cool accessories and cool things that help us transport our kayaks. So we're going to be constantly just evolving this channel, putting out new material. I know there's a lot of channels out there that we all kind of do the same things, how we organize our tackle, but everybody does it differently, and I think it's a great way for us all to learn and just, go on YouTube. There's a lot of channels out there. There's a lot of great channels out there for kayak fishing, and you can get a lot of ideas from these guys. So like always, guys, until next time, stay safe. I appreciate all your support, and I'll catch you guys on the water. Thanks for watching.